911. What's the address of your emergency case then? Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
We heard and looked in. The garage door was up, and I thought the gentleman was backing out. And I went back to my house, but he never backed out. And I came back over, and his driver's side window is shattered, and he's battered and can't answer. He's inside. I don't know if somebody tried to shoot him or if he shot himself or what. I don't know. He didn't send an ambulance in a hurry. An EMT. He's still alive. He's moving.
Okay. What's going on with him?
I don't know. The driver's side window is all bashed in, and he's got blood all over his head. He's not responding to me. I think you need to hurry.
Yeah, I'm going to get him on the way to you. I just want to ask you a few questions, okay?
Go ahead, but send them as you're asking.
Yes, sir. They're already on the way, okay? Are you with him now?
I'm standing right outside the garage door.
Can you tell me how old he is?
I don't know. He looks like maybe 35 or 40.
Hang on 1 second for me, okay?
Okay.
All right, sir. I apologize about that. What was how old is the patient again? I'm sorry.
I can't tell. He looks maybe 35 or 40. I don't know.
Okay. And is he awake?
He's just moving his head around, but he's not responding. I've called his name, asked what's going on, or not called his name, but asked him what's happening. He's not responding to that, but his head's kind of rolling around.
Okay. Is he conscious?
Well, I can't tell.
Okay. Is he breathing?
I can't tell that. I'm assuming he's breathing if he's moving his head around.
Did you ever hear him talk or anything?
No.
Okay. You said he's sitting in the car, right?
Correct, in the driver's seat.
Okay, where exactly is he? In the driver's seat? You know,
in the driver's seat.
Is he in the garage or?
In the garage.
Okay. Can you direct the emergency crews to him, sir?
Sure.
Okay. All right, I'm sending the paramedics to help you now. Just stay on the line. I'll tell you exactly what to do next.
Okay.
If it's safe to do so, see if he is conscious and breathing or moving at all, okay?
It's not safe for me to do. I don't want to put my hand in here.
Okay. Well, help's on the way.
Okay.
All right.
I'll be standing by. And I've heard about break-ins in the area, and so I decided to walk over and take a look. And the garage door was up and asked him what was happening. And then I saw the window was shattered, and he's got blood. I'm going to be over here waiting for the EMT, honey. Okay, go ahead, but just tell the kids to hold on inside. They're okay. But tell them I'm out here.
All right, just stay on the line with me for now, okay, sir?
Okay,
I got him on the way to you.
Very good. I'm standing at the street, so if I see him coming down the street, I can direct him right in.
So he won't respond to you at all?
Not to me.
Holler at him or anything?
Yeah, he didn't respond, but his head's kind of moving around.
Okay.
But I've walked away from the car right now. I'm standing at the street, so.
And he's?
No.
Okay.
He's inside. The window's shattered. The garage door was up.
Okay.
Where is the vehicle dispatched from?
I'm not sure. Give me a second. I'll try to see where they are, okay? Is he still moving around?
I don't know. I'm standing at the street now trying to wait for your vehicle. Did you say you were checking on where it was?
Yes, sir.
Or where it's coming from?
Mm-hmm.
Where is it coming from?
I'm checking.
Okay.
Got several people on the way. Looks like one person's coming from McClay Road.
Okay, well, it may take them a while to get here then. We're close to the hospital, so.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying his head is bloody now?
Yeah, it's been bloody. I mean, it's...
Okay.
The window shattered. I don't know if he's tried to shoot himself. I don't know what the situation is.
And it's the driver's side window, correct?
That's correct. He's still moving around, so he's alive.
Okay. Looks like I should have an officer coming up the roadway.
Okay, well, we need EMT.
Well, the officer's going to be there first. They're not going to come until we figure out what's going on, but they're on the way as well, okay?
He better be if this guy's got a shot living.
Yes, sir. They're on the way as well, okay?
Yeah. It looks like could be an officer now.
Is he there?
Yeah, he's just coming up right now.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and let you go, sir, okay?
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Right.
What if I told you that a loving father, a respected law professor, and a brilliant legal mind was taken down in broad daylight in his own driveway? And 11 years later, 5 people are behind bars while the one person closest to the victim remains free. What if the question everyone's asking isn't just who did it, but who really orchestrated it all? This is the story of Dan Markel, a case so twisted that it has captivated a nation, destroyed families, and left investigators asking one haunting question: how far would you go to get what you want? Before we unravel this web of secrets, courtroom drama, and a family torn apart, do me a favor. If you're someone who loves deep dives into cases that shake you to your core, cases that make you question human nature itself, then hit that subscribe button right now and turn on notifications. Because here at Dark Trail Files, we don't just tell stories, we take you inside them. Every single detail, every twist, every moment that makes your heart race. So subscribe, because you won't want to miss what comes next. July 18th, 2014. Tallahassee, Florida. It was a Friday morning, and the sun was blazing hot, the kind of oppressive heat that makes the air shimmer. For most people in this quiet college town, it was just another summer day. Students were on break. Professors were catching up on research. Families were planning their weekends. Dan Markel had just returned from his regular workout at the Premier Health and Fitness Center. He was a 41-year-old law professor at Florida State University, a rising star in the legal academic world. Brilliant, dedicated, published in prestigious journals, and deeply loved by his students who saw him not just as an instructor, but as a mentor who genuinely cared about their futures. He pulled his Honda Accord into the driveway of his home on Trescott Drive in the Benton Hills neighborhood, a tree-lined street where families felt safe, where children rode bikes, where neighbors knew each other's names. This was supposed to be his sanctuary, but someone had been watching Dan Markel. Someone had been waiting for exactly this moment. 2 men who had driven all the way from South Florida approached his vehicle as he sat in the driver's seat. They had been tracking his movements, studying his routine, waiting for him to be alone and vulnerable. In a matter of seconds, Dan Markel was shot multiple times in the head while sitting behind the wheel. The gunmen didn't hesitate. They executed their mission with cold precision, then fled the scene, leaving a husband, father, son, and scholar bleeding out in his own driveway. Neighbors heard the unmistakable sound of gunfire echoing through the quiet street. Some called 911 immediately. Others rushed outside to see what had happened, their hearts pounding. By the time police arrived and emergency responders pulled Dan from his vehicle, the father of 2 young boys was clinging to life, suffering from catastrophic injuries that no surgeon could repair. 14 hours later, surrounded by family members who had flown in from across the country, Dan Markel was pronounced dead. This wasn't random violence. This wasn't a robbery gone wrong. This wasn't road rage or a crime of passion. This was a planned execution, orchestrated from hundreds of miles away. A murder for hire. And the motive? Something chillingly simple, something disturbingly ordinary, a custody battle. A family's inability to accept the word no. And a desire so strong that it justified the unthinkable. Wendi Adelson was Dan Markel's ex-wife. They met on a Jewish dating site called JDate and married in 2006. By all accounts, they seemed like the perfect academic couple, both law professors at Florida State University. Their wedding was beautiful. Their future seemed bright. They had 2 sons together, children they both adored. But beneath the surface, cracks were forming. Those who knew them said the marriage was troubled from early on. There were differences in personality, in priorities, in vision for their future. And there was one force that seemed to loom over everything. Wendi's mother, Donna Adelson. Donna wasn't just a mother-in-law. She was a controlling presence in her daughter's life, someone who had opinions about everything and expected those opinions to be followed. She made decisions about Wendi's career, her relationships, even her home purchases. Court documents would later reveal that Donna had very strong opinions about Dan Markel. Very strong, very negative opinions. When Wendi and Dan's marriage began to fall apart, it became clear that Wendi wanted one thing more than anything else: to move back to South Florida with her children, closer to her family, closer to the life she had known before Tallahassee. There was just one problem. Dan Markel refused to allow it. He had built his life and career in Tallahassee. He was a tenured professor, a respected member of the legal community. More importantly, he was a devoted father who wanted equal time with his sons. He wasn't going to let them be taken hundreds of miles away. In 2013, after a bitter, acrimonious divorce that left both parties emotionally drained and financially strained, the court ruled in Dan's favor. Wendi was granted 50-50 custody, a compromise that many judges see as fair and in the best interest of children who deserve relationships with both parents. But there was one critical condition that the Adelson family simply could not stomach. Wendi was prohibited from relocating to Miami with the children. The court had made its decision. Dan Markel's parental rights would be protected. For the Adelson family, particularly for Donna, this ruling was not just unacceptable. It was intolerable. It was a personal affront. It was a barrier standing between them and the life they believed they deserved. Text messages and emails that would later surface during criminal trials revealed just how angry, how resentful, how consumed with rage they were. The language was harsh. The tone was bitter. The contempt for Dan Markel was palpable. Donna Adelson had even gone so far as to plan an extraordinary offer. She would give Dan $1 million if he would simply agree to let Wendi and the children relocate to South Florida. $1 million. A grandmother so desperate to have her grandchildren nearby that she was willing to pay 7 figures to make it happen. But Dan refused. It wasn't about money for him. It was about being a father. It was about not being reduced to a once-a-month visitor in his children's lives. It was about principle, about parental rights, about doing what he believed was right for his sons. And then came the joke that would echo through courtrooms for years to come. The joke that would become a critical piece of evidence in a murder conspiracy trial. During a police interview just hours after Dan was shot, when he mentioned something that would haunt the investigation for years, she told officers that when her brother Charlie gave her a new television as a divorce present, he joked that it was cheaper than hiring a hitman. Watch this moment carefully. This is Wendi speaking to police just hours after her ex-husband was shot. Pay attention to her demeanor, her words, and ask yourself, what would you be feeling in this moment?
Did Reggie with you?
I just listened to my voicemail.
What'd you hear?
Who
was your voicemail?
It's from Lisa Carey, who is my real estate agent, or who I had gone with to find a house. She just said she was driving around town and she heard there was a shooting on Trescott.
Yeah, that's what this is about. I'm sorry you had to hear it that way.
I'm sorry, I didn't know if I should,
It's all right, just leave it there. Is it still on?
It's right there.
Hey, it's Lisa Carey. It is Friday, and I feel like an idiot doing this, but I just heard that there was a shooting over on Trescott, and I promise I'm not trying to be dramatic or even nosy. I don't know, just checking on you, my friend. I hope all is well. I hope your sweet boys are well, and if there's anything you need, let me know. It just ran a chill down my spine when I heard that there was something going on Trescott. All right, 212-3083. Hope all is well, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.
That's all right, you can stop it. Or does it stop automatically?
It's done.
Okay, do you have your identification with you? So you never took the last name of Markel?
No.
Adelson. Okay. Wendi with an I. Joe. All right. There was a shooting at your home, or your ex-husband's home, at 2116 Trescott. Okay. Your ex-husband, Daniel, all right, has been taken to the hospital. He's not going to survive.
Oh my God.
Okay. Well, before we get into everything, I have to establish where you were and who you were with and so forth.
Okay.
Okay, and then once we've established all that, I can give you more details.
Okay.
Do you understand why I wanted you to come here before I discuss this?
Oh my God. I'm sorry.
It's okay. No, you have nothing to be sorry about.
I just don't understand. How could this happen?
Can you let me get over this hump, okay? Can we do that first? All right. Can you tell me what time you left your house this morning?
Yeah, I was there. I didn't leave this morning. I didn't leave until noon.
Okay. And
Oh my God. And I tried to drive up Trescott and I saw that it was blocked.
It was blocked at some point. I'm not sure what time it was
And I
blocked.
just thought, oh, there's maybe some trees down or something. Because sometimes
Oh, you're saying as you drove down which one of the side roads?
when I'm going to a friend's party tonight, and it's a oh my God, what am I even talking about? I needed to buy, it's a stock the shelf engagement party, and so I went to buy bourbon.
Okay.
So I went to drive from my place up Trescott to get to ABC Liquor, and it was blocked, so I just turned around. I was on the phone at the time. I wasn't paying a lot of attention.
Right.
So I just turned around and drove up the other way. I just thought, oh, sometimes when I lived there were electrical things
Okay.
that would happen. I left my house around 12:15 because I thought I'll get the bourbon and then I'll get some gas for the car and get super glue for one of the boys' toys. And I was trying to do all I can before meeting my two friends at 1.
Okay, who was at your house this morning?
The only person that was at my house this morning was a guy from Best Buy because my TV was broken and it's under warranty.
Good for you.
Yeah, I figured.
Okay,
Oh my God.
a guy from Best Buy was at your house to work on your TV?
I have his name and everything at the house if you
Okay.
want it, because the boys broke the TV, so he gave me a choice of fixing it or getting a new one. And
What time did he come to the house?
he called me at around 8. He was probably there until around 10.
Okay,
Um,
okay. And then you,
and then after he left, I kept working on a paper, and I emailed the paper to a librarian at school to work on some of the citations.
okay.
And I don't think I talked to anyone else, but I was just working for an hour or so from the house. I was going to take a shower, but I didn't. I ran out of time. I did laundry, and then I left the house around noon.
To go to the liquor store and the stuff for the party?
Yeah,
Okay, you went down which road you said?
I went down Trescott.
Okay.
I saw a police car there, and I just thought it was blocked, so I just turned around and drove to, I went down the rest of Centerville, went up Benton, took Benton across, went to ABC Liquors, bought the bourbon.
I'm a little confused. You're up on Centerville Road. What's your purpose of driving down Trescott?
It's usually the shortcut to get to
Oh.
Monroe.
To get to Monroe?
I usually take it as a cut through to get to Thomasville or Monroe.
Okay, all right, so
I
you,
don't know why I said Monroe. I was thinking Mosaic, Monroe, Thomasville.
okay, so when you come down into town on Centerville,
I almost always cut through Trescott.
Trescott, and just drive by your old house?
Well, I do it as a way of like coming to terms with a divorce. But yeah, sometimes I drive there. If I'm too sad, I drive around.
Okay,
If the kids aren't home and I know they're not home, I feel better about driving by the house. But yeah, it's shorter and I just usually drive by.
it's shorter than going all the way down to Benton.
All the way down Centerville and around Benton. It's just
Right.
a shortcut I always took.
Okay, so you turned around and went back to Centerville, I take it,
Yeah.
down to Benton? and went to the liquor store down there on Thomasville?
Yeah.
The one at Benton Road?
ABC Liquors, it's at, Benton. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Did you make a purchase there?
Yeah,
And that was sometime after 12?
probably 12:30.
Okay. All right.
And I talked to a guy there because I don't really buy much alcohol, and so they wanted bourbon, and I asked the guy, we had a whole conversation about bourbon and
Right.
my eyes, like,
Your eyes?
he just said, your eyes are really blue,
Right.
and
You have contacts?
I do.
Okay.
But I just remembered it.
Right.
So I bought the bourbon and got some gas on Thomasville and met my friends at Mosaic.
Which gas station did you go to on Thomasville?
The one that's, I always forget the name, but the one that's close to the cross street, it's right next to the Goodwill.
Okay.
If you're heading north on Thomasville, if you're heading north on Thomasville, it's on your right.
Okay. Just past the Goodwill
Just
place?
past the Goodwill, it's close to the intersection there.
Okay. All right. And then from that point, you went straight to the
Went to Mosaic
Mosaic restaurant?
and met friends there. I used to have kind of a steady Friday meeting, and I hadn't seen my two friends in a while. And so we had made plans to meet up.
What time did you get to Mosaic?
About 1. I was a little late. We were supposed to meet at 1, and I got there a few minutes after.
Okay. All right. I know it's cold in here. Okay.
I think that's not why I'm
Okay.
shaking.
I know it's part of it, but do you know anybody that would have a beef against your ex-husband?
He's, oh God.
I hate to ask it now, but I have to do it now. You
I
understand,
understand.
right?
I understand. He had friends. He always meant well, but he would sometimes rub people the wrong way.
Okay.
But not anyone who would do something like this.
Anybody that he owes money to?
No, he owes money to me,
He owes money to you?
but
Okay.
not me.
Okay. All right. All right.
Oh my God, we're poor kids. Oh, that's so I know a lot of people didn't really love him, but I don't know anyone who would do something like this.
Well, we're still trying to determine, what happened and how it happened.
But he wouldn't do this to himself.
Okay.
He was a very positive person.
Okay. No one that you know of or that you've spoken to recently that he's had some type of problem with or that he was concerned about?
No one that he was concerned about. I mean, we've been separated for 2 years, so I don't know,
Right.
If he had something going on, I wouldn't know about it, but, I mean, I had lost my voice earlier this week, and so we had put off this conversation about our son's school and where he was going to go, and he, I can't, I know a lot of people didn't love him, but not anyone who would, hate him.
Okay.
He meant well, everyone that knew him
Okay.
knows that he means well, but he can be a little, argumentative.
Right.
But not, he didn't owe anyone money. He didn't do anything except work and take care of his kids. He wasn't involved in anything bad.
Okay.
I can't believe this is happening.
I know. And he was a professor at the law school, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And your divorce has been 2 years or the total separation, I'm assuming?
Total separation's been 2 years. Our divorce was finalized last summer around this time.
Okay.
He wouldn't do this to himself. He has a girlfriend now.
A joke. That's what she called it. But investigators weren't laughing. For 2 years, the case went cold. Investigators followed leads that went nowhere. They interviewed dozens of people. They analyzed phone records, financial transactions, surveillance footage. But they couldn't connect the dots. The killers had been careful. They had used rental cars, burner phones, cash payments. They had fled the state within hours of the murder. But someone always talks. And in 2016, Luis Rivera decided he didn't want to spend the rest of his life in prison for a murder he didn't pull the trigger on. Facing a life sentence, he agreed to testify against the others in exchange for a reduced charge of second-degree murder. He would serve 19 years instead of life. Rivera named the shooter Sigfrido Garcia, a man he had known for years. He described how they had made 2 trips to Tallahassee. The first attempt in June 2014 had failed because Dan Markel's schedule didn't line up the way they expected. So they came back in July. And this time, they didn't leave until the job was done. He named the middleman, Catherine Magbanua, a woman who would become one of the most fascinating figures in this entire case. And he revealed something stunning that would crack the case wide open. Catherine Magbanua was the link between the hired killers and the Adelson family. She had 2 children with Garcia, but she was also in a personal relationship with Charlie Adelson, Wendy's brother. This wasn't just any connection. This was intimate. This was trusted. This was how you move money and information without raising suspicion. Phone records showed that after Dan was murdered, Magbanua received large sums of money from the Adelsons. Bank deposits that couldn't be explained away as gifts or loans. The connection was undeniable. The paper trail was there. And suddenly, what had seemed like an unsolvable murder became a case with names, faces, and a clear path to prosecution. In October 2019, after a trial that gripped Tallahassee, Sigfrido Garcia was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life in prison without parole. The jury heard testimony about the rental car, the surveillance footage, the phone calls. They heard how Garcia and Rivera had stalked Dan Markel, how they had waited for the perfect moment. Catherine Magbanua's first trial ended in a hung jury, 10-2 for conviction. But prosecutors weren't giving up. In 2022, she was retried. This time, the jury heard even more evidence. They heard testimony from jailhouse informants. They heard about the money trail. They heard Magbanua's own words admitting she believed the Adelsons were involved. The second jury found her guilty, and she was also sentenced to life in prison plus 2 consecutive 30-year sentences. 3 people were now behind bars. But prosecutors weren't done. They had their eyes on bigger targets. They wanted the people who had paid for the murder. They wanted the Adelson family. Charlie Adelson was a successful periodontist, part of the family's thriving dental empire, the Adelson Institute. On the surface, his life looked enviable. He had money, status, professional respect. He seemed to have everything. But investigators believed there was something darker beneath that polished exterior. They believed Charlie was the architect of a murder plot, the person who arranged to pay Magbanua, Rivera, and Garcia $100,000 to eliminate the Danny Markel problem. In 2023, nearly a decade after Dan's murder, Charlie was finally arrested and charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, and solicitation. His arrest sent shockwaves through the South Florida community. His trial became a media sensation, drawing national attention. Prosecutors presented overwhelming evidence. Phone records, financial transactions, testimony painting a picture of a man determined to help his sister and appease his controlling mother. The bond between Wendi and her brother Charlie was central to this entire case. Here she is describing just how close they really were. Listen to her words and consider what family loyalty means when it collides with the law.
I absolutely had a close relationship with my brother.
And how soon after the murder did your lawyer advise you not to talk to your family about it?
In 2016.
Okay, so what about the 2 years in between? Did you talk to him about it then?
I mean, I talked to him about the fact that a murder occurred, but I guess I don't understand the question.
But you never talked to him about the suspicions you raised in the law enforcement interview that your brother might have done it?
No, I did not.
You suspected your brother could have been a part of this, right?
I suspected lots of people could have been a part of it.
But he was one of the people, right?
while I was talking with law enforcement for 6 hours, terrified out of my mind, I offered them every possible idea I could come up with.
Right. And one of the possible ideas was that your brother could have murdered your child's father.
I didn't really believe that was possible.
Was part of the plot for you to be able to have plausible deniability about this?
Absolutely not.
Is it better for both you and your brother if you don't know the details of this?
I don't even understand the question that you're asking me.
When did you first become aware that you might be a suspect in this case?
I mean, as the ex-wife, I assumed I was a suspect from the beginning.
What was your first thought when you were asked if anyone might have murdered Dan Markel for your benefit?
I thought, oh my God, maybe if I hadn't divorced him, he would still be alive. Maybe this is my fault because I complained to the wrong person. Maybe Danny gave a student a bad grade and they came after him. I just was trying to think of who possibly could have wanted to hurt him.
But you didn't say any of that before. I mean, the first thing you said was Charlie, right?
I don't think so.
Page 25 of your interview, line 5 through 15. Do you have any reason to dispute? Page 25, not 5 hours into it. You say Charlie might have done it, right?
Can I see, please?
You may. This is going to be tab 1, page 25.
What I say here is that he would never do it. Right under the highlighted part, I say no, he would never.
Need a copy?
Page 25, line 5 through 15. I mean, my brother, the one, his name is Charlie, the one I'm really close to. He makes a lot of jokes in that taste, and it was a joke he made. He bought the TV for me this morning that got broken, and then I was talking to him about whether it made sense to pay or fix it, or whether I should get a new one. And it was always his joke that, he knew that Danny always treated me badly, and it was always his joke. He said, I looked into hiring a hitman, and it was cheaper to get you this TV, so instead I got you this TV. And you do say you don't think he would do it, but can we agree you brought up his name on page 25 of the interview?
I did.
When asked, would you ever ask someone to do something like this? You say not in a million years. When asked, okay, do you think someone would do this for your benefit without asking you? You say no. And when Isom starts to ask you what good does it serve, you say, I mean my brother, the one, his name is Charlie. Isn't that how it went?
This is the transcript, but I think there's also inaccuracies in the transcription.
Oh boy. All right. Do you want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family.
It's not my family.
I mean, somebody hired him, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid him.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want him held accountable if it was your family members. Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
But I don't think it was my family, is what I
Different
said.
now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly
different
what I
today,
said
isn't
right
it?
here. No, that's not right.
Charlie Adelson was found guilty on all counts. He was sentenced to life in prison plus an additional 30 years each for conspiracy and solicitation. As he was led away in handcuffs, his sister, Wendi, watched from a gallery. She had testified at his trial, insisting she knew nothing about any murder plot. But the question lingered, did she really not know? Or was she simply very, very good at protecting herself? If Charlie was the architect, then Donna Adelson was believed to be the mastermind. Prosecutors argued it was Donna who couldn't accept the court's ruling, Donna who was enraged that her daughter couldn't move back to Miami, Donna whose controlling nature set the conspiracy in motion. For years, Donna watched as the case developed. She watched Luis Rivera take a plea deal. She watched Garcia and Magbanua go to prison. Then she watched her own son Charlie arrested, tried, and convicted. The walls were closing in. Donna knew she was next, and she decided not to wait. In November 2023, officers found her at Miami International Airport, checked in and passed security, preparing to board a one-way flight to Vietnam. Not vacation, a one-way ticket to a country with no extradition treaty with the United States. When they took her into custody, they seized her phone. She had been researching Vietnam's extradition policies. She had been using WhatsApp with visa companies, asking how quickly she could get a 90-day visa. She was planning to vanish rather than face consequences. The phone contained something even more damning. Text messages to Wendi that would become crucial evidence at trial. Your brother protected you for years. Donna had written to Wendi shortly after Charlie's conviction and before her own arrest. The words were chilling in their implication. Now you're not guilty. Your lawyer took very good care of you. These weren't casual messages between a mother and daughter. These were statements that seemed to acknowledge a conspiracy, that seemed to suggest Wendi had been shielded from prosecution by deliberate actions taken by her family members. They were messages that prosecutors would later argue demonstrated Donna's understanding of what had really happened, her knowledge of who had been involved, and her belief that Wendi had been protected by family loyalty and legal strategy. In another text message that was read aloud in court to a shocked and silent gallery, Donna expressed anger and frustration that Wendi hadn't called her after Charlie's conviction. Everyone looks to protect you, she wrote with barely concealed resentment. I bet you've got a lot to think about. The subtext was impossible to miss. Donna seemed to be saying, we all went down protecting you. We all sacrificed ourselves. We all took the fall. And you can't even pick up the phone. These messages were read aloud in court. They were played in jail call recordings obtained by investigators who had been monitoring Donna's communications from behind bars. And they painted a picture of a family dynamic that was deeply dysfunctional, a family that had built elaborate walls of protection around Wendi Adelson, shielding her from the consequences of what prosecutors believed was a coordinated, multi-year family conspiracy to commit murder. In one of the most dramatic moments of the trial, Donna's own defense team made a stunning suggestion. Watch as they attempt to shift the narrative in a way that left the courtroom speechless.
I wouldn't say without his influence in any way, but yes, they've grown up without their father.
He's not here to give them advice.
He is not.
He can't come to any of their functions, sports, anything else.
Correct.
They're not eating kosher like they would have with their father.
They are not.
They don't have him at all.
They don't have him in their lives day to day, no.
Because on July the 18th of 2014, he was brutally murdered in his driveway. Isn't that true?
That is true.
And you testified on direct that anybody in your family that had anything to do with it should be held responsible. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that includes you, doesn't it?
Anyone who's responsible.
Redirect examination.
When you said you were an actor in someone else's show, whose show was it?
I think I felt like I just wasn't fully present in my own life, that I had always been a real people pleaser. And so there was an aspect of not always being true to myself and wanting to make other people happy.
And one of those people is your mom, right?
Yes.
And that's part of why you kept going with relocation, even when you kind of had some doubts about it, right?
I would say it's part of the reason.
Donna's trial began in August 2025 and lasted 8 intense days. The courtroom heard testimony about coded conversations that prosecutors said revealed the conspiracy. They heard about birthday presents that weren't really presents, but rather code words for murder payments. They heard text messages where Donna and Charlie discussed needing to secure a special gift for Harvey, Donna's husband, in March 2014, just months before Dan was killed. Prosecutors argued that this wasn't about a gift at all. This was about arranging the murder. "I know you'll come through," Donna had texted Charlie. And he did. The jury also heard from 2 inmates who had been housed with Donna at the Leon County Detention Center. Patricia Bird and Dina Bernhardt took the stand and testified that Donna had discussed the case with them. Bird explicitly stated that Donna told her she did what she was accused of. Bernhardt testified that Donna had even written out questions and answers, creating a script for what she wanted Bernhardt to say on the stand if called to testify. It was damning testimony. It showed consciousness of guilt. It showed someone trying to manipulate the system, even from behind bars. And it reinforced what prosecutors had been arguing all along. Donna Adelson was at the center of this conspiracy. When Wendi took the stand at her mother's trial, the entire nation was watching. This was the moment where she would face questions not just about her mother, but about her own role in everything that had happened.
Name and spell your name.
Wendi Adelson, WendiAdelson.
Ms. Adelson, where are you from?
I'm from Coral Springs, Florida.
And you live in another state now, currently, right?
I do, yes, ma'am.
All right. How are you employed?
I'm an immigration attorney.
How long have you been an attorney?
Since 2006.
And you're here pursuant to a state subpoena, is that correct?
Yes.
And that subpoena confers a type of immunity on you. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay. Which means that nothing you say here in court pursuant to that subpoena can be used against you at a later time. Do you understand that?
I do.
Okay, but it doesn't necessarily mean you could never be prosecuted. It just means that what you say in court could not be used in any future prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. I want to ask you about your ex-husband, Daniel Markel. Is that a fair and accurate photo of Mr. Markel?
Yes.
When did you meet him?
We met originally online. It must have been the fall of my first year of law school, so 2003.
Okay. And when did you marry Mr. Markel?
We married in February of 2006.
Were you living in Tallahassee at some point as a married couple?
Yes.
When did you move to Tallahassee?
We moved to Tallahassee my final year of law school, so that would have been in the summer of 2005. And we were here from 2005 till 2006. We spent a year at the University of Miami from 2006 to 2007, and then came back to Tallahassee from 2007 until 2014.
All right. And during the time that you were living here in Tallahassee, did you live over on Trescott Drive?
For some of the time that we lived here, yes.
And when your first child was born, were you residing at the Trescott Drive residence at that point?
Yes.
Okay. I think I have a photo of that here. Is that the Trescott Drive residence?
Yes.
Okay. And how many children did you have with Mr. Markel?
We have 2 children.
What were their ages at the time of their father's death?
It was 10 days before my older son's 5th birthday, so he was 4 turning 5, and our younger son was 3.5. The boys are 14 months apart.
And did there come a time when you and Mr. Markel separated?
Yes.
When was the separation?
It was in the fall of 2012.
Whose decision was it to separate?
It was mine.
How did your ex take that news?
Well, we talked about it many times before it actually happened, but when the separation became official, he was very upset.
And even though there were problems and issues and discussions, it was a surprise to him when it actually happened, right?
It was.
Okay. And was part of the reason for the separation your differing views on how to raise the kids pursuant to the Jewish faith?
I'd say it was a very small part, but it was a part.
Did you consider your ex to be a religious zealot?
No, I didn't think he was a religious zealot, but I did think he was using religion as a way of controlling me.
Wendi Adelson testified for nearly 3 hours. She was calm, composed, unwavering. She denied any involvement. She insisted she had no knowledge of what her family allegedly did. She said she loved Dan despite their difficult divorce and would never have wanted him harmed. But her testimony raised more questions than answers, creating doubt and suspicion. Prosecutors presented evidence of an alibi that seemed too perfect. On the murder day, Wendi was home waiting for a TV repairman, servicing a television Charlie had given her as a divorce present. Then she ran errands at documented locations. Then lunch with friends who could verify her whereabouts. It was meticulously accounted for, and prosecutors suggested it had been carefully planned to ensure an ironclad alibi while Dan was murdered. Then there was Jeff Lacasse's testimony, Wendy's ex-boyfriend who delivered some of the most explosive evidence in the case. They dated during the height of her custody battle. What he remembered would haunt the courtroom. He testified that days before the murder, Wendi pulled him aside privately. She looked around to ensure no one could hear. Then she said something unbelievable. "Can I tell you something in confidence?" she asked. When he agreed, she continued. "Last summer, my brother looked into all options to take care of the Dan Markel problem, including hiring a hitman. It would cost about $15,000. Wendi Adelson, according to sworn testimony, told him her brother had actively researched hiring someone to murder her ex-husband. Not a joke, not hypothetical, an actual investigation into the cost and logistics. This wasn't a typical questioning. This was a moment where the line between witness and suspect seemed to blur. Watch how the tone shifts, how the pressure builds, and how Wendi responds when the questions feel more like accusations.
It's like my parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else. Is that what you said?
That is what I said.
And that's because he hurt you, right?
And I was saying that in the context of talking to law enforcement for hours and hours and trying to help them figure out who might be responsible.
Right. And who did you tell them might be responsible?
Well, I told them many, many people. But are you asking about this particular moment right here?
You told them your family might be responsible.
Or potentially someone to do with a former student or his current girlfriend. I mentioned lots of people that I thought could be responsible.
Okay. And of the lots of people that could have been responsible, your family was one of them.
Yep.
Because they might have done this thinking it would help you. I mean, that's what happened, right?
I'm sorry, I don't understand the question.
Your family had your ex-husband killed to try to help you, didn't they?
No, that's completely untrue.
When did you learn that Catherine McBanoa was blackmailing your brother for the murder of your ex-husband?
Today.
So he never told you?
No.
You testified in Catherine McBanoa's murder trial last year, didn't you?
I did, yes.
And she was convicted.
She was convicted, yes.
A crime for which she apparently is innocent because she was just a conduit for Sigfredo Garcia. Did you learn that today along with all of us?
Well, I learned that someone made that argument. I don't know whether it's true or not true.
Did your dad get any big gifts for his 70th?
I don't remember.
So there was no big lead up and discussion about some big gift that you were involved in, at least?
I don't remember. I don't remember if I gave him a present. I hope I did.
Do you remember what anybody gave him for that birthday?
I really don't.
Was the murder of Dan Markel your dad's big gift?
I mean, that's, of course not. That's a horrible thing to say.
What about the grandchildren, getting full unfettered access to the grandchildren?
My parents had full unfettered access to their grandchildren, always.
You want the culpable parties held accountable for murdering the father of your children?
Absolutely. I'm grateful they're already in jail.
But not if it's your family?
It's not my family.
Somebody hired them, right?
Not necessarily.
Somebody paid them.
I learned something this morning.
Yeah, me too. You didn't want them held accountable if it was your family members. Didn't you tell law enforcement that?
That's not what I told law enforcement.
What did you tell law enforcement?
I told them that the person who did this should be held responsible and that I had nothing to do with it.
Page 122, lines 7 through 12. If somebody tried to kill my ex-husband, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. The investigator says regardless of who it is, and your answer is, I mean, it would be different if I thought it were my brother.
But I don't think it was my family, is what I say.
Different now, isn't it?
No, it's not different. That's exactly
different
what I
today,
said
isn't
right
it?
here. Oh, that's not
No
right.
further questions.
Lacoste testified that when Wendi told him this shocking information, he was completely taken aback, disturbed, and frankly horrified. His exact words in court were that he was deeply concerned because Wendi appeared so serious, so matter-of-fact, so calm when discussing something so horrifying. This wasn't delivered as a joke or exaggeration. This was presented as factual information. Charlie had looked into hiring a hitman. Charlie had researched the cost. Charlie had explored options for taking care of the Danny Markel problem. And yet, when Dan Markel was murdered less than a year later, executed in his own driveway in almost exactly the scenario Wendi had described, she claimed complete surprise and shock. During the murder trial, prosecutors pointed out something deeply eerie about the timing on that fatal morning. Phone records showed Wendi had been on the phone with her brother Charlie at 8:48 a.m. on July 18th, 2014. Dan's last outgoing text to Wendi was sent at 10:34 a.m., discussing when he would drop off their sons that evening. Just minutes after that final text, Dan Markel was shot multiple times in the head. The timing was remarkable. The coordination was suspicious. Investigators noted it seemed like far more than coincidence. They also noted that days before the murder, Wendi had asked her ex-boyfriend Jeff Lacoste very detailed questions about his plans for that Friday, July 18th. She wanted to know where he would be, what route he would take, what time he would leave. He mentioned driving to Atlanta that morning on Interstate 75, a route consistent with how the killers fled town after the murder. Was Wendi gathering information to provide to her family? Was she helping plan the timing? Was she coordinating alibis and escape routes? Or was this just a series of impossible coincidences? Prosecutors also presented evidence about Wendi's movements that day. She drove past Dan's house shortly after the shooting, claiming it was an accidental wrong turn, though she had lived in Tallahassee for years. When she saw police cars and emergency vehicles, she told officers she had a bad feeling. But she didn't call Dan. She didn't try to reach him. She didn't ask officers what happened. She simply drove away and continued her day. Hours later, when police contacted her, she learned Dan had been shot. Her reaction in that body cam footage would become one of the most analyzed pieces of evidence in the case. There's another detail in this case that has absolutely captivated public attention, true crime followers, and armchair investigators across the internet. Before Dan Markel's death, while their custody battle was raging and tensions were at their highest, Wendi Adelson wrote and published a novel. It was called This Is Our Story, and on the surface, it was about young women who became victims of human trafficking and exploitation, told through the voice of an immigration attorney named Lily who fights to help them. Art imitating life, or life imitating art. When Wendi discussed her book, people couldn't help but notice parallels between her fiction and her reality. Listen to what she says and decide for yourself whether the line between storytelling and lived experience was closer than anyone wanted to admit.
And is that the only book you've written, or have you written more than one book?
I've only written one book.
What was the book about?
The book was about human trafficking and about the vulnerabilities that lead to trafficking, the problems when it occurs, and basically how to recover from it after.
Where was the book set?
It was set in a fictional town.
What was the name of the fictional town?
Hiawassee Springs.
So Hiawassee. Is it located in the panhandle of Florida?
No, I used to see the name when I was driving from Tallahassee to Orlando, so it's somewhere in between.
And was the place modeled after Tallahassee?
It was definitely somewhere in Florida, but not supposed to be about Tallahassee, no.
Who was the central character in that book?
So there's 3 central characters. One was one of my clients, kind of a composite character from Eastern Europe. One was kind of a composite character of many clients I represented from Latin America. And one was a public interest lawyer.
And was the public interest lawyer Lily?
Yes.
And is that the character that's sort of based after yourself?
No, really more based after a friend of mine.
And was Hiawassee, Florida, quote, just a small stop on the way back to what we had previously known as civilization? Is that a quote from your book?
That sounds like a quote from my book, yeah.
And who's the husband of Lily, the public interest lawyer?
You want his name in the book?
Yes.
I think it was Josh Stone.
All right, and what was Josh's employment?
Josh was an English professor.
I'm sorry, what was your answer?
Josh was an English professor.
A professor, where did he teach?
It's been a while. I wrote the book over 10 years ago. I don't remember what I named the university in the
North Florida State University?
That sounds right.
NFSU?
NFSU sounds right, yeah.
All right, and in the book, does Lily lament, quote, we moved to this godforsaken place for Josh's career?
Yes, that sounds like a line Lily would say.
All right. When you looked at page 187 of the divorce document on cross, and I'll hand that back to you. This is actually my copy. Just turn back to 187. Do you see the quote that you read previously from that page?
I don't.
Okay. It had to do with, let's see if I can find it, that you were very unhappy in the marriage. I think it's the 3rd paragraph there.
I see that line.
Okay, the wife has been very unhappy in the marriage and files her petition for dissolution of marriage in August 2012. The husband continues to characterize this as abandonment, and then it goes on to say that he had been disparaging you to some of the folks at the law school. Do you remember reading that?
I do.
Was that intended to be the place in this binder where you allege emotional abuse by your husband?
I mean, I think it's emotionally abusive to suggest somebody has mental health issues.
Okay. What is the Prof's blog? You were asked about that on Cross.
Yeah, it was a blog that Danny started with some of his colleagues to kind of promote community in the law professor world.
And who reads the Prof's?
Probably other law professors and people interested in becoming law professors.
Who is on the Crim Prof listserv?
I don't know.
Were you on the listserv for that Prof's blog?
I may have been on the listserv at some point.
Do you remember seeing the post that you were shown on Cross?
I do.
And the post says something about Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is there any other information on what you were shown about Dan's travel plans post-murder other than that?
I'm sorry, can you please repeat the question?
The post says Danny and I guess it's another professor writing this thing, Danny and I are planning to attend a conference that will begin Sunday, July 20th. Is that the type of information that he would typically have on something like the Prof's blog or Facebook?
That sounds right.
Okay, but as far as the date he's leaving, the flight he's on, that kind of stuff, would that typically be on the Prof's blog?
He wouldn't put what flight number he was on, but he would almost always communicate when he was going on a trip.
Okay, so going to a conference that starts July 20th might be an example.
Flying to New York tomorrow would be an example.
Okay. But
not,
he didn't
not
put
a flight number.
But he didn't put flying to New York tomorrow on this occasion.
No.
You were referenced several times, not on direct examination by the state, but by your brother's attorney on cross as a co-conspirator. Are you charged in this case?
No.
This isn't your trial, is it?
No.
Is your brother charged with conspiring with you to do a murder?
No.
Is he charged with conspiring with you to plan a murder?
No.
Is he charged with soliciting you to do a murder?
No.
Who is he charged with doing those things with?
I don't think anyone.
Have you had an opportunity to review his indictment in this case?
I have not.
Give you an opportunity to take a look at that document to yourself. Who is your brother alleged to have done these crimes with?
Catherine D. Magbanowa.
Were you on the wire in this case, Ms. Adelson?
No.
So when the bump happened, are you familiar with the event I'm referencing as the bump?
I am now.
When law enforcement approached your mother on the street and handed her a piece of paper?
Yes.
Okay, when that occurred, who did your mother call?
I don't know.
Not you, right?
Not me.
Okay. And once your brother found out about the bump, did he call you about it?
No.
Who did he call?
I don't know.
Well, you listened to the calls to authenticate the voices, didn't you?
Just to hear the voices, not to hear the content of the calls.
Okay. And the voices were your brother's voice, right?
But I listened to the calls just to hear who was on them, so I don't know what content they're referencing.
I heard your answer. My question to you now is, your brother's voice was on the calls.
He was on some of the calls I listened to.
Okay. Your mother's voice was on the calls.
She was on some of the calls I listened to.
Did you have any secret meetings with your brother post bump that happened in South Florida?
No.
You were asked about Jeffrey Lacoste and the way that your relationship ended. What is OkCupid?
OkCupid is a dating website.
Were you on that dating website?
I was.
Were you on that dating website at the time that you were dating Mr. Lacoste?
No, I wasn't.
And were you speaking, so I guess if you weren't on it, you weren't speaking to multiple men from the website during the time you were dating Mr. Lacoste. And I'll remind you that you provided your phone in this case and it was cell-brighted, downloaded.
Objection, argument.
The book itself wasn't about murder or violence against ex-spouses. It was about a completely different subject matter. But what caught people's attention, what made readers and reviewers deeply uncomfortable in retrospect, was how the book was structured and what it revealed about the author's mindset. Reviewers and readers noted that one of the main characters in the book, the immigration attorney Lily, seemed unmistakably semi-autobiographical, clearly based on Wendi's own career and experiences. They also noted something more troubling. The book spent significant time discussing Lily's personal marital problems with her husband, her frustrations with her marriage, her desire to escape, her feelings of being trapped. Some readers found it narcissistic, questioning why a book supposedly about helping trafficking victims spent so many pages on the lawyer's personal drama. Others found it chilling, especially after Wendi and her brother became prime subjects of a murder-for-hire investigation. The book became a window into Wendi's state of mind during the period when, according to prosecutors, her family was actively plotting to kill her ex-husband. The book wasn't evidence of guilt, but the fact that Wendi had written fiction that mirrored painful elements of her own life that she had created a character going through marital struggles while she herself was locked in a bitter divorce and custody fight, that she had been crafting narrative and controlling story while her real life was spiraling into tragedy. It all made people wonder, how much of her story was authentic emotion? How much was carefully constructed performance? How much was reality? And where exactly was the line between the two? On September 4th, 2025, after hours of tense deliberation, the jury returned with a verdict. Donna Adelson was found guilty on all counts: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and solicitation of murder. Throughout this entire case, one word kept being used to describe Wendi Adelson: smart, intelligent, educated, capable. But what happens when intelligence becomes a shield rather than a virtue? Watch this moment and ask yourself whether being smart is the same as being innocent.
Now I want to talk about your knowledge and your belief on this. You're a smart person, right?
How am I supposed to answer that?
Well, let's go through your resume. You went to Brandeis University, right?
I did.
You graduated magna cum laude.
I did.
If you could explain to the jury what that means.
It means I studied a lot and got good grades.
All right. It means, and to speak, I'm from the Northeast. My Boston accent may give it away. It means you're wicked smart, right?
That's very
You had a high
nice of you.
GPA, a very high GPA.
I work hard.
You also went and you got a master's degree from the University of Cambridge.
I did.
You were a Gates Scholar.
I was.
You then go to the University of Miami School of Law, which is a top-tier law school, tier 1, right?
Okay.
Right? We're talking about your level of intelligence. You went to the University of Miami Law School, right?
I did, yes.
You also clerked at the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, right?
I did.
Now, to get a clerkship out of law school, it's a very difficult thing to do, right?
It's challenging.
You have to have top grades. You have to go through a rigorous selection process, right?
Yes.
You then become a professor at the Florida State University College of Law, right?
Yes.
You're also a published author. Right.
Now you're just embarrassing me.
This case everywhere. You'd agree with me on that, right?
I've been advised by my lawyer not to read it.
All right. Now, we're not talking about reading stuff. There's podcasts,
Also not to listen.
TV shows,
Also not to watch.
articles.
Don't read.
And so you've made the decision. Now, you're a lawyer yourself too, right?
I am.
And you made the decision, I'm not going to look at any of this stuff.
Correct.
I don't want to know what happened to the father of my 2 children.
Not I don't want to know what happened.
How can you say you love those boys if you don't care who killed the father that they loved?
You also have a separate obligation as an attorney to tell the truth, right?
Of course.
Okay.
I don't believe that I did.
You did not.
I don't remember doing that, no.
No further questions.
I don't remember exactly the timeline of that.
Okay, thank you.
Lawyers, yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
Donna gasped audibly when the verdict was read. She sobbed, her body shaking with emotion. Her husband Harvey looked devastated, broken, unable to comprehend what had just happened to his family. The courtroom erupted in a mixture of relief from Dan's supporters and anguish from Donna's friends. On October 13th, 2025, Donna Adelson was sentenced to life in prison without possibility of parole, plus an additional 30 years for conspiracy and solicitation. She addressed the court, expressing sorrow for Dan's death, but maintaining her innocence. She claimed the state couldn't decide who the mastermind was, suggesting the case was built on speculation. But prosecutors had no doubt. 5 people were now behind bars: Luis Rivera, Sigfrido Garcia, Catherine Magbanua, Charlie Adelson, and Donna Adelson. All convicted, all serving lengthy sentences or life without parole. And yet, one name remained conspicuously absent from the list of defendants: Wendi Adelson. Prosecutors have named Wendi as an unindicted co-conspirator in the case. So has her father, Harvey Adelson. But neither has been charged with a crime. The question that has haunted this case from the beginning remains: will Wendi Adelson ever face charges? Every time Wendi took the stand, the stakes grew higher. Here she is, once again under oath, once again insisting on her innocence. But with each testimony, the scrutiny intensified.
Good morning. If you can just take your seat for right now, I will swear you in when the jurors re-enter the room. I believe, even though the jurors indicated they did not have to go to the bathroom at this point, if we are once again dealing with the needs of 14 people, they might be in the bathroom, so wait for the knock. Okay. It's fun. I believe that we have a few jurors that do need to use the restroom. If anyone needs to stretch their legs or use the bathroom themselves, please take your opportunity now. Once we start with the testimony, again, the door will remain closed if you exit. Go ahead. Oh, before you leave the room, Ms. Fulford, once again, Mrs. Adelson, I'm going to reiterate the instruction that I gave to you last Friday concerning any reactions that you may have to either the testimony or the evidence in the case. I understand this may be a distressing thing for your child to be offering testimony in your trial. However, you are to control your expressions and your emotions. Do you understand those? Everyone can take their break. If you need to step down until it's time to testify, you may do so as well.
When asked by reporters, prosecutors have responded with 2 words: stay tuned. Text messages from Donna to Wendi paint a picture of a daughter who was shielded, protected, and kept at arm's length from legal consequences while everyone around her fell. Your brother protected you for years, Donna had written. Those words have become a rallying cry for those who believe Wendi knew more than she let on, that she played a role more significant than she's admitted. But Wendi has consistently denied any involvement. She has never been arrested. She has never been charged. She testified at both her brother's trial and her mother's trial, each time maintaining her innocence. This is the moment where Wendi looked directly at the jury and made her position clear. No involvement, no knowledge, no guilt. But as you watch, ask yourself, do you believe her?
Were you in any way involved in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
No.
Did you maybe know it was going to happen but not know the details?
I did not know it was going to happen, and I did not know any details.
Did you provide any information, even unknowingly in hindsight, that you think could have been used to assist the murderers?
I don't think so. I didn't provide any information.
What information do you have regarding your mother's involvement in the plot to kill your ex-husband?
I don't have information.
But you do admit that your brother said he looked into hiring a hitman to kill Dan Markel.
I don't. I admit that my brother made a tasteless joke repeatedly about buying me a TV because it was cheaper than hiring a hitman.
But then someone did hire a hitman who did kill Dan Markel, right?
Yes, that happened.
Was part of the plot to kill your ex for you to have plausible deniability or to know very little about it?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
Were you shielded from the plot because, I don't know, you couldn't be trusted to keep a secret?
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
Why did you tell investigator Isom in your law enforcement interview that you were worried the police or you were worried, I guess, in the police car on the way to be interviewed, that you might be considered a suspect?
Because I couldn't think of anything bad going on in his life other than the divorce. And frequently the ex-wife is a suspect.
Were you treated as a suspect?
I was not.
But you mentioned 9 times in your law enforcement interview being a suspect, didn't you?
I did, yes.
After Dan's murder, Wendi took steps that some found troubling. She cut off all contact between Dan's parents and their grandsons. She changed her sons' last names from Markel to Adelson, claiming it was for their safety. She moved forward with her life while 5 people connected to her family went to prison. Dan Markel's parents, Ruth and Phil, have been devastated not just by the loss of their son, but by the loss of access to their grandchildren. In victim impact statements, they spoke of a hole torn in their hearts that will never heal. They spoke of a brilliant, loving father stolen from his children, and they expressed hope that one day, the full truth would come to light. Here's what we know for certain. Dan Markel was murdered because he refused to let his children be relocated to Miami. His refusal angered the Adelson family to the point where, according to prosecutors, they decided to eliminate him. $100,000 changed hands. 2 hit men drove from Miami to Tallahassee, waited for the perfect moment, and executed a law professor in broad daylight. Catherine Magbanua connected the killers to Charlie Adelson. Charlie Adelson was connected to his mother, Donna, and Donna was connected to Wendi. But did Wendi know? Did she participate? Or was she simply the beneficiary of her family's actions, protected by their loyalty and their willingness to take the fall? That's the question investigators, legal analysts, and true crime followers have been asking for over a decade. And it's a question that speaks to something deeper about human nature, about family, and about the lengths people will go to get what they want. This case is still developing. As of now, Wendi Adelson remains free. She lives in Florida with her sons, the 2 boys who lost their father in the most violent way imaginable. She has not been charged with any crime. She maintains her innocence. She has cooperated with investigators when compelled to do so. She has testified under oath multiple times. And yet, the speculation continues. The scrutiny continues. And the question of whether she will become the 6th person arrested in connection with Dan Markel's murder continues to hang in the air. Prosecutors have made it clear they're not done with this case. When asked directly if Wendi will be indicted, they've responded with 2 carefully chosen words: stay tuned. That's not a no. That's not a denial. That's a wait and see. And that tells us everything about where this case stands and where it might be heading. There are those who believe Wendi is a victim herself, caught in the middle of a family conspiracy she had no part in creating, a woman who has lost her brother to prison, her mother to prison, and her ex-husband to violence. They see her as someone who has been unfairly targeted because of her family's actions, someone who is being punished by association rather than evidence. There are others who believe she was the catalyst, the person who stood to gain the most from Dan's death, the one whose desires and complaints set this entire tragedy in motion. They point to the timing, the conversations, the perfect alibi, the changes in her testimony over the years. They believe that someone so intelligent, so educated in the law, would have known exactly what was happening and exactly how to protect herself. The truth, as it often does, likely lies somewhere in the complexity of human relationships, family loyalty, and the quiet desperation that can drive people to unthinkable acts. Perhaps Wendi didn't pull a trigger. Perhaps she didn't hand over money. But did she know? Did she hint? Did she complain loud enough and often enough that her family decided to solve her problem for her? Those are questions only she can answer. And so far, her answers have been consistent. No involvement. No knowledge. No guilt. What happened to Dan Markel was a tragedy that never should have occurred. A devoted father, a brilliant legal mind, a respected scholar who worked tirelessly to achieve his position at Florida State University, a man who simply wanted to be part of his children's lives and raise them with the values he held dear, was taken in the most brutal way imaginable. The aftermath has destroyed multiple families, sent 5 people to prison for life, tore apart a community, and left 2 young boys growing up without knowing their father. This case asks us to consider uncomfortable questions that reach into the darkest corners of human nature. How well do we really know the people in our lives, even those closest to us? What are we capable of when pushed to our limits, when what we want most seems forever out of reach? And when does protecting someone we love, when does family loyalty cross the line into enabling something terrible, something that can never be undone? For over 11 years, investigators, prosecutors, and law enforcement have worked tirelessly to untangle this web of lies, coded messages, financial transactions, and family secrets. 5 convictions, countless hours of testimony, mountains of evidence, wiretaps, surveillance footage, phone records, text messages, jailhouse informants. And still, the story isn't over. Still, there are questions. Still, there is one name that haunts every discussion. As you think about this case, consider everything you've heard. Ask yourself, what would you do if someone stood between you and the life you wanted? Would you fight fair? Would you accept defeat and walk away? Or would you find another way, a darker way? Those questions make this case so haunting, because at its core, this isn't just about murder for hire. It's about desire, about a family that couldn't accept no, about the devastating consequences when people decide one person's life is worth less than their own happiness. This has been the Dan Markel case, one of the most complex, heartbreaking, and meticulously documented murder conspiracies in recent American history. If this story gripped you the way it has gripped millions of others across the nation and around the world, then you need to stay connected to Dark Trail Files. We bring you the cases that matter, the details that others miss, the truth that refuses to stay hidden, and the questions that demand answers. Hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on those notifications and join a community of people who aren't satisfied with surface-level coverage or quick summaries. We go deep, we go dark, and we never stop searching for the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it makes us. Until next time, stay vigilant, stay curious, stay questioning, and remember, sometimes the most dangerous secrets are the ones hiding in plain sight, protected by wealth, family, and the appearance of respectability. This is Dark Trail Files.